Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 1 Onikakushi. So last time I think it was the most creepiest, scariest part or episode we did, right, in this game. And after like recording it, I thought to myself, maybe this could be all of like Keiichi's. Yeah, he's very paranoid, right? But maybe he's just hallucinating all of this. Maybe like most of it. Because remember when he came home earlier on the on last episode, the early minutes of that episode, he got home and then he was thinking like, oh, somebody's following me, etc., 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 right? And then when the people were calling on his phone, he was very suspicious. And then when Rena came, it could be that he's just hallucinating a lot of this, right? Like, Rena and Mion were just talking normally. But as we are seeing Keiichi's perspective, he's thinking that they're doing something different. They're doing much more sinister stuff, right? But yeah, the way they're presented in this game is we are in Keiichi's perspective, his POV, so we're seeing what he is seeing. And yeah, it is very scary. So like when I'm reading them, or yeah, when we're watching the scenes, it's scary. It's really scary. And sometimes I cannot think anymore because I'm just looking at what is happening. But yes, let's see what happens today. Let's continue. Maybe we'll get more scenes. Maybe not. But we'll see. Continue. So we're back in the room. Yes, I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but there are definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in a panic all night. I mean, yes, if he is very paranoid, so a little movement and he senses it, he will wake up, right? I spent all night hugging the metal bat and sat on top of the futon I used to barricade my door. Waiting, watching, just in case someone tried to break in through my window. If I left this spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying and attack me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid. Yeah, but the thing is, you might be very, very paranoid, Keiichi, to the point that you are hallucinating, right? But yeah, last episode, it was just very creepy, man. Like, I'm in the same boat as Keiichi. The thought of being so vulnerable scared the living daylights out of me. If sleep meant taking that risk, I didn't need it. It was so much better to just stay awake. At some point during that endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside, but that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek out through the curtains. Rena was gone. I couldn't see her anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I didn't feel like sleeping at the moment. I still had time, but I need to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Oh yeah, because his mom and dad is in Tokyo, right? And they're gonna come late at night later. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, it'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. But yeah, like in his situation, if you go to school, you're gonna see Rena, right? I don't know. The risk involved in leaving my house was incalculable. So staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. So whenever I'm reading this, I always put myself on the position of the character that we are playing. So yeah, that's why I always react like, oh yeah, like maybe we'll see Rena, right? And it might be very scary or awkward. Who knows what will happen, right? But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Oishi-san wouldn't help me without cold hard evidence. Neither he nor my parents. So unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes just like I did every morning. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Keiichi, my bar. So let's go to school. Let's wait until they set the trap for me. But that didn't mean I was just going to swallow my thumbs. I needed to avoid the trap and secure irrefutable evidence. Take note of the plates of any car that drives by. Yeah, and in the car as well, honestly. Is that even... Like, maybe it was speeding, right? But Keiichi being so paranoid, maybe he thinks that it was gonna hit him, but in reality, it didn't. And it's hard to know what is real or not. Seriously. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothes and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attack against them and retaliate. The tension was similar to when two samurais were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katanas. I was not at a disadvantage. I would have a chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage growing in my chest. Alright. Let's go to school. I tightened my grip on Satoshi's bat. He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please, lend me your strength and entrust your dying regrets to me, since, yes, you were probably murdered. I'll make sure I dispel them. With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. Of course, I was going to go to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Rena or Mion, I needed to leave now. The shattered fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. But yeah, this part, right, last episode, when he was saying that someone was following him, etc., etc. Yeah, he might just be like, thinking like, oh, someone is there, but no one is actually there. Like when you're, for example, you went when it's nighttime, right? And you go out of your room, and there's no lights outside, and you want to get water, or you want to go to the bathroom, right? And you're thinking, oh, something might pop out. Something might be following me, but in reality, there's nothing there. I think it's just like that. But for Keiichi, I think it's much more, he's much more paranoid. Like a level up, something like that. Right. I meant to clean that up last night, but I never got around to it with the phone call and everything. If my parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I would never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I clean it up right now, and considering what would happen if I ran into Mion or Rena, I wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got home. Making extra certain that the doors were locked, I left the house. Finally, we got music. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today, I was going to go to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Keep your guard up, Keiichi Maibara. The only one who gets to decide if today is my last is me. But it's gonna be very awkward though if you see Rena in school. Or if, yeah, we just... Okay, are we at school now? Okay, we're at school now. I was gonna say, but maybe while we're walking, right, then we see Rena. So he is doing the bat thing again, right? I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Okay, that's awkward. Rena said nothing about last night. She just went inside, I guess. As if it never happened. But yeah, when Rena was... what do you call this? When she was at the door, right? The thing about that part was... It was scary because she was trying to open it, right? She put her fingers through. So... Yeah, maybe she did that. And And afterwards, she said like something like, "I'm sorry, Keiichi. Like I went too far." She said something like that, right? Maybe she was playing with him. But yeah, in Keiichi's hallucinations, because of his paranoia, he's thinking it was much more worse. Like, yeah, like it was very, very creepy, right? But in reality, Rena was just really playing with him. So it is very hard to tell, honestly. Because sometimes Rena could be creepy on her own. But yeah, for Mion, I think for Mion, she's not that creepy. Because the way she talks, it's pretty much the similar when she talks, right, normally. And then when we see her change, it's kind of still like that, but it's much more colder. But for Rena, there are times that it is really creepy, especially when she shouts, right? But we'll have to see. Okay, we haven't finished chapter 1 anyway, so we'll just talk about it maybe after we finish it. I just heard her telling Satoko and the others that the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oishi-san shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute ideal girl. I mean, yeah, remember what Oishi said about Rena's past, right? Yeah, that as well, yes. Rena did all of that in her past. She broke the windows in her school, right? So, yeah. Yeah, look at me on here. If she changes later, we'll see. It was Mion. I had already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised.
Mion ka. わかってるなら放っておいてくれよ。俺は甲子園で忙しいんだ。
I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tactically keeping Mion from getting any closer.
Kei-chanさ、ちょっと休憩。
I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest.
ホームルームまであとちょっとだろ。もう一汗かかせてくれよ。
I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal.
ケイちゃんって野球好きだったっけ？
最近好きになった。
最近って昨日から？
分かってんなら聞くなよ。
あれまあ。スポーツマンにしては爽やかじゃないお返事だことで。
気が散る。放っておいてくれ。
I ignored Mion and it kept swinging. Normally, she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. But Mion just stood there and waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility. But we were at school in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or was that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out.
何か用なんだろう。なんだよ。
Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came, yeah. When you don't warm up and your body's not used to this, next day, you'll feel very, very, very stiff. I should probably keep practicing my swings to build stamina, in addition to the excuse for carrying the bat around with me.
用ってわけでもないけどさ。お疲れのようなら後にするけど。
今でいい。
I'm only dealing with you right now because I judge this situation to be safe. Talking to you alone and away from the others, that's out of the question.
さ。
Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. But unlike Oishi-san, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. But then she gave a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire.
おじさんダメだわ、こういうの。ボキャ品は辛いわ。
なんだよ突然。言いたいことがあるならはっきりと言えよ。
やめてよ。素振り。
She got straight to the point. Her request was so frank, I didn't understand it for a moment. I had already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I?
ちゃんとやめてるだろ。
じゃなくて。
Yeah, like look at this. When Mion is talking, right? When it was the other Mion, it's basically like this still, but yeah, you add the creep, just a little bit of creepiness, but it's pretty much the same.
今日で終わりにしてほしいの。悪いけど。
It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging the bat?
なんでだよ。余計なお世話だよ。別に誰にも迷惑かけてないだろ。
かけてる。
Mion said it flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating.
俺がいつ誰に迷惑をかけたよ。
Mion was at a loss for words, but she finally made up her mind and spoke, though she stuttered as she said it.
だってさ、ケイちゃん、それ人のバットだしさ。
But yeah, that is Satoshi's bat, right? I guess maybe, I mean, they're just, even Rena, right? She's, what do you call this?
無断借用は悪いし。
They don't want to see it, I guess?
転校した生徒の忘れ物だろ。本人が取りに来るまで借りてるだけだよ。
And Rena said that Satoshi was doing this as well back then, right? So I guess for them, they just don't want to see it.
まあね。転校したし。
Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered, then made it all too clear that his transfer was a lie.
でも変わってるよな。兄貴だけ転校なんだろ。妹は転校しなかったんだろ。
But if you think about it, right? The older brother, Satoshi, left his little sister all alone here. Mion couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her up.
ケイちゃん、知ってたの？
王女サトシ。サトコの兄貴だろ。去年、鬼隠しにあって消えた。
Unable to respond to that, Mion felt silent.
レナにも言われた。なんで素振りを始めたのかってな。サトシもやってたんだってな。素振り。それも失踪の直前に。これってさ、お社様のたたりに合う前兆ってわけなのか？
Mion panicked and looked around.
頼むよ、ケイちゃん。お社様の話はうかつにしないでよ。私はそんなに信じてないからいいけどさ、他のみんなはすごく信じてる。レナなんかヤバいくらいに。
やばいくらいに？
とにかく、みんな怖がってるんだよ。もしもこれが悪ふざけならやめな。サトシの真似は絶対にやめて。
See, you have to stop acting like Satoshi. I was the one who was scared. Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? So yeah, as Mion said here, you have to stop acting like Satoshi. You're scaring everyone. For example, for us, if yeah, Keiichi is really just hallucinating all the things, right? For them, they're really Keiichi is really scaring them, right? Everyone. But for us, in this perspective, it's different. They are the ones who's scaring Keiichi, right? But yeah, right now I really believe that Keiichi's hallucinating a lot. Maybe not all of it, but a lot. Okay, what did I say? Oh, sorry. But it is still unsettled me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It would be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions.
先に言っとく。俺はサトシのことは何も知らない。みんなが隠してたからな。
隠してたってわけじゃ。
毎年起こる事件のこと隠してたろ。
あ、それはケイちゃんを
怖がらせたくなかったってのか？それが理由で俺だけのけ者かよ。
いや、そんなつもりじゃ。
ミオンに直にダム現場で事件がなかったかって聞いたよな。ミオンはないって言ったじゃないか。バラバラ殺人があったのによ。嘘つき野郎。
ごめん、嘘ってわけじゃ。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんかなしだろ。そうだろ。じゃあお前らは仲間じゃない。
ケイちゃん、そんなのって。
Mion looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I never could have imagined Mion acting like this.
ああ、それに先日の見舞いのおはぎ、あれうまかったぜ。血が出るかと思った。
Yeah, the mochi, okay?
やったのはどっちだ？
Yeah, the mochi as well. Could it be that there was no needle? Could it be like maybe there is something in the mochi but it was not a needle? Like Keiichi just imagined it, right? Like he was being very paranoid at the time that he thought that that thing that was inside the mochi was a needle, but it might not be, right?
お前か。
Because afterwards, like the next day, right, they said it was like a prank. But yeah, at the time, I was also like, what do you mean prank? You put a needle in there. But yeah, after like going through a couple more chapters, like you'd think differently, especially after last time. Like it was very scary, but yeah, you start to realize that it might be Keiichi, right? It might be him.
レナか。
私。
Also, she was the one who did it. Okay. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was.
死ぬかもしれなかったんだぞ。仲間にあんな真似をするのかよ。
そんなちょっとしたいたずらじゃん。
Yeah, see, she said it was a little prank. I think she also said this back then, right? Mion gave me a weary smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me. See? Confusion, because maybe Mion is like, what did he mean? You have killed me. You could have killed me. What did he mean by that?
あれがいたずらで済むかよ。
I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. Whoa. That wasn't the same as putting tobacco sauce in a piece of mochi or Tabasco sauce. It was a needle, a sewing needle. If I had swallowed that and lodged it in my throat, what did she think would have happened? Mion's face froze as her body rattled in fear. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore.
とにかく。
So I wish we could see a scene again, maybe soon, that yeah, Rena or Mion changes. I want to see a scene again like that, so I can analyze it, right?
お前は仲間じゃない。仲間じゃない奴の指図は受ける言われはない。
You're not gonna be scared anymore, I promise.
俺のことは当分放っておいてもらうぜ。いいな。
Mion wasn't replying
俺
anymore.
を消そうとしても簡単にはいかないからな。お前らは最初から警察に疑われてんだ。サトシを消せたように簡単に消せると思うなよ。
I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war.
俺も過去の事件はお前らが怪しいと思ってる。ダムの反対運動の時からお前が警察の世話になってたこともよく知ってる。隠しきれてると思うなよ。いいな。
どうしてそんな まで。
Yeah, no one said, the only one who said this to Keiichi was Uishi, right? So yeah, she's just shocked. Mion stood there with a dumbstruck look on her face. That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for morning homeroom.
行こうぜ。委員長がいないとまずいだろう。Huh?
At the moment for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks.
ひどいよ、ケイちゃん。
I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no feel of guilt.
俺、
yeah,
行くぜ。
I'm going.
ホームルーム遅れるなよ。
I left Mion still shaking as she turned around to head for the entrance. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself.
そっか。
She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was a sobbing voice, that kinda giddy cursing tone, yeah. And I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her.
ケイちゃんに全部バラしたの。あの野郎か。
She balled up her fist as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot at the ground with a terrifying yet smiling face, cursing. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. This transformation, Mion's transformation, was different from Rena's.
あの時殺しとくんだったな。
Okay, this is what I'm saying. Did they actually say this one? I should have killed him back then. Or, I mean, did Mion actually say this? Or was Keiichi just thinking of it?
今年で定年だからって容赦してやった恩も忘れやがって。
Yeah, and look at this. He forgot the mercy I showed him just because he was going to retire this year. Like, what? So it's very hard to say, yeah, if this is real. If this thing that we're looking at right now, is this real? Or is she talking about Oishi-san, or just is Keiichi just imagining this?
ちくしょう。ちくしょう。あのじじい。絶対に殺してやる。
Because, yeah, if someone told, yeah, you were hiding this, your past, right? And someone else told it to your friend that you, yeah, because I guess Mion wanted to hide that fact, right? And then Oishi-san said it to Keiichi, of course you're gonna get pissed, right? But, yes. So we see this scene here. So maybe it's real, maybe it's not real. Maybe yeah, she's definitely pissed, but I don't know. Maybe it is a real scene here, right? Okay, it felt like the air itself had began distorting. Now what I was meaning to say is, they're saying this, but in a different tone, I suppose. Like whenever Rena changes, right? She's saying all those words, but it was just normal for her. But when Keiichi's looking at her, it's different, right? Like the way she's saying it, it was sinister in Keiichi's perspective, but in reality, it is not. So maybe all of this that Mion is saying is real, right? She said all of this, but I guess not in a very, very sinister tone. Maybe she was like, yeah, she was angry, definitely, but she was not gonna kill anyone, right? Maybe. It felt like the air itself had begun distorting. With Mion at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral, bending, whirling. This was the first time I'd known no experience such as a visage. Mion made up an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Rena nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Satsuko nor Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Okay, everyone. The friends. They're so different now. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The month since I transferred in had almost been too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. The bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join in and to the club activities, I probably started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down inside me, far beneath in the recesses of my heart, achingly I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. What? When the last day of this cycle, I couldn't tell how the ending would be. Maybe we're gonna be finishing the game? Whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Maybe the chapter is gonna be finishing soon, right? Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Somewhere mixed in with their shrieks, Tomitake-san and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if I will be amongst the Higurashi, fruitlessly crying next to the victim. Glancing down at my feet, I saw Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly. There was still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened. But I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. At the moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once, as if they had huddled together, fearing that the person who'd brought them to the dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat, and in its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all my senses. I was barely able to hold back the creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly among the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? No. Since I was able to hear their footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me, was it Rena? Just like yesterday? I mean, the only person that's been tailing you this whole chapter is Rena. If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted their grip on my bat. I could tell that the fear that I had been beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. It is Rena. It's always been Rena, right? My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rena. There was a bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but the feeling left me in an instant. What is she holding though? This wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Her eyes were dark and lifeless. but her mouth appeared as it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand was the hatchet. I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror laid bare. Baseball, practicing my swinging. There were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for that hatchet? There were no excuses for that. A hatchet just like that.
Keiichi-kun.
This is what I'm saying about Rena. For Mion, she's pretty normal, right? There's only instances, but for Rena, she could be really creepy even without the other form, right? Or the other Rena. She can be creepy normally.
かくれんぼかな?
My heart was pounding, hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here.
レナを驚かせようとしたのかな?
I decided it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us, than to allow Rena to come any closer. I adjusted the grip on my bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind the tree. It's the other Rena now.
Keiichi-kun, 見つけた.
Rena was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes, those were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of vicious hot and cold substance began spreading around. If I allowed it, the substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs in my body. Not good, not good. I'll be devoured by Rena at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose.
何の用だよ?
I blustered, hiding my bravado. But Rena didn't flinch one bit.
ケイチ君と同じ。帰り道だよ。
じゃあそのナタは何だよ?
じゃあケイチ君のそのバットは何なのかな。
俺は素振りで。
じゃあレナは宝探しなの。
Rena gave a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon.
宝探し?
ダム現場の宝の山にね、また新しいかいいのを見つけたの。だからね、それを発掘するために必要なの。
信じるかよ、そんなの。
Okay, this is what I was saying, right? Like, Rena is talking. Yeah, like, yes. She's looking, she has a new thing she found at the dam site, right? And she wants to take it. But in Keiichi's current state now, as he's very paranoid, seeing Rena like this, holding a hatchet, it's different, right? It's different now compared when back then, right? When she brought a hatchet, it was okay, it was fine back then. But now, different state of mind, so of course, different output or outlook, right? So this is, I guess, how Keiichi is seeing Rena now. But the way she was talking earlier, that is still very creepy, and she was laughing, right? Like, Keiichi-kun, I found you.
信じないよね。
And this as well, this laughing. Okay, this. Why are you laughing like that? Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. I had seen Rena's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eyes. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say, it was just so obvious.
待ってよ、ケイイチ君。
Rena didn't stop walking even as she let out that eerie laugh. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Rena and was trying to escape.
ついてくるなよ。
それはできない相談だよ。レナのうちもこっちだもん。
I don't know, man. I don't know anymore what to think. I kept saying all those stuff earlier, and look at Rena here. She's laughing all the time. When I met with Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today, yeah, it was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home for Rena and me was the same, that's fine. I just changed my route. That'll work out, wouldn't it? I turned into the side street I'd never been down and I knew a little about. But Rena saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go home down the street you normally do. Why would you follow me down this weird little side of the road? These thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth.
どうしてついてくるんだよ。
The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror.
ケイイチ君とお話ししたいから。ケイイチ君もレナとお話ししたいんじゃないかな。
俺は何も話したいことなんかない。
嘘だよね。相談したいこときっとあるはずだよ。
ない。レナと話すことなんか何もないよ。
嘘だよね。
嘘じゃないよ。
嘘だ。
There we go. That scary Rena again. That usuda, the lies. Rena screamed, echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. So yeah, even if she's saying this normally, right? But for Keiichi's perspective, it was scary. She's still saying this. She's still shouting lies, right? I cringed in fear. The only thing I could do was increase my pace.
お話ししようよ、ケイイチ君。
She's like Rena is. She's still very creepy and crazy, I guess. Even normally, if what I'm saying is correct, like that.
お話。
The way Keiichi is seeing her is just hallucinations. But she is still very creepy and crazy. Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street?
ケイイチ君には悩んでることがあるんじゃないかな。
ないよ。何も悩んでない。嘘だ。
Yeah, she keeps laughing. What is wrong with you? Even though I was running? Even though Rena was walking? Why wasn't I getting any farther away?
わかるよ。わかる。レナはわかるよ。怖いんだよね、ケイイチ君。
I mean, come on now. If someone was laughing at me, following me like that, and the laugh is very, yeah, sinister, I guess. Who's not gonna be scared? And you have a hatchet with you, right?
怖くなんかない。何も怖いことなんか。
嘘だ。
And she keeps, yeah, shouting lies. My breathing grew heavy and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat.
レナだけは相談に乗ってあげられるよ。今度こそ乗ってあげられる。
I had no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to
今
do.
度こそ相談に乗ってあげられる。サトシ君の時とは違うもの。
Okay, it'll be different from the time with Satoshi-kun. When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. But as I did that, Rena was still advancing towards me. I couldn't afford to be stopped.
サトシ君も悩んでた。辛そうだった。 でもレナは相談に乗ってあげられなかった。とても悲しかった。
Where did this street connect to? All these twists and turns, ups and downs. It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long since gone out of the window.
サトシ君が転校しちゃった時ね、本当に後悔したんだよ。レナが相談に乗ってあげれば、サトシ君は転校せずに済んだかもしれないって。
Wait. Yeah, I thought that if I had listened, he may not have transferred out. Okay.
すごく後悔した。
The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm.
だからね、誓ったの。もしもサトシ君みたいに苦しんでる人にもう一度会えたなら、レナが助けてあげようって。もう人が転校するところは見たくないな。
Okay, another one. No. She said I'd save them, so I guess in her own twisted way. She's trying to save Keiichi. That's why, let's say she has a hatchet. Because she wants to protect Keiichi with it? I don't know, man. I don't know. Damn it. What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I wouldn't end up the same as Satoshi.
さあ、ケイイチ君、レナに話して。レナはきっとケイイチ君を理解してあげられるよ。レナだけはケイイチ君の味方。
I started wheezing out of breath. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode, and my heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of my swing. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought.
悩みがなくなれば、きっとケイイチ君も元通り。みんなとも仲良しに戻れて、また楽しく部活ができるよ。
If Keiichi doesn't have anything to worry about, he'll go back to normal. Everyone will be back to being friends and we can enjoy club activities again. So yeah, the thing is, yeah, if Keiichi isn't paranoid, everything will go back to normal, I suppose, right?
今度は一緒に組んでみーちゃんをやっつけようね。
Yeah, how much fun that would be. Rena couldn't imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days.
レナともきっと仲良しに戻れるよ。また一緒に宝探しに行きたいね。今度はお弁当も作っていくよ。なんなら今から宝探しでもいいよ。行こうよ、一緒にダム現場。見つけたばかりのかわいいの、ケイイチくんにも見せてあげるね。きっとケイイチくんも気に入るよ。
My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Hot on my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was only on the run, being chased by Rena. If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that if I was caught, it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything yet. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me and I crumbled towards the ground. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all, rather I couldn't even sense her heart was beating.
何が怖いのかな。怯えるなんてケイイチくんらしくないよ。
Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of her arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godliness of the thousand-armed Buddha. Then, as both of her hands met above her head, the hatchet that she had held came into focus. I stared up at in disbelief. It was all I could do.
教えてくれ。サトシはどうなったんだよ。
Rena stayed like that with the hatchet raised above her head and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions.
言ったよ。サトシ君は転校したの。
その転校ってのをやめろよ。鬼隠しってことなんだろ。そうだろ。もう教えてくれたっていいだろ。サトシを消したのは誰だよ。レナかミオンか、それとも村の誰かが。答えろよ。
I became frantic the more I screamed, but Rena did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face.
ケイチ君が何を言ってるかわからないな。
じゃあわかるように言ってやる。連続開始事件の犯人は誰だ。
ケイチ君は勘違いしてるよ。
え？
人間の犯人なんかいない。すべてはお社様が決めることだもの。
But if Rena should keep saying Oyashiro-sama, right? Oyashiro-sama this, Oyashiro-sama that. Even back then, right? When she talked to the psychiatrist, I suppose. She always kept saying Oyashiro-sama.
お社様のたたりなんて迷信だろ。レナは信じてるってのか。
信じるとか信じないとかじゃない。お社様はいるの。
Exists. Rena's gaze grew even more jellied. The ferocity of his stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything.
お社様なんているわけが。
ケイチ君は信じないの？お社様。
信じられるはずないだろ。そんなのいるわけがない。
いるよ。お社様。ケイチ君だって身近に感じてるはずだよ。
そんなもの感じたことないよ。
ケイチ君さ、誰かに謝られたことない？それもずっと。
All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rena's voice resounded loudly and terribly.
それはね、許してもらえるまでずっとついてくるの。学校へも、お家へも、枕元へも。
I couldn't understand what Rena was saying.
レナのところへも来たんだよ。お社様。だからレナは転校してひなみ沢に帰ってきたの。
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Rena
ケ
saying?
イチ君のところにもお社様来てるんじゃない？きっと相談に乗れるのは私だけ。ケイチ君を転校なんかさせないからね。
You know, she's... Who's laughing? What? Rena's demented laughter changed around inside my head. Was Rena saying Oyashiro-sama came to her as well? That's right. Last night I had heard about that when I asked about Rena.
他言無用でお願いします。
Okay.
また内容には一部憶測も含まれているかもしれません。 すべてが真実ではないかもしれないということです。よろしいですね。
Oishi-san began speaking.
被害者も学校も告訴していないので、調書がないのです。
Okay.
つまり、警察が関与してないわけなんですよ。ですから、詳細は関係者からの聞き取りのみなのです。つまり、信憑性が高くない。
被害者って言いましたか？レナはガラスを割っただけじゃないんですか？
いえ、男子生徒が3人ほどリュウグウレナに殴られています。
She attacked 3 boys
金属バットでです。
in the metal bed.
2人はあざで済みましたが、1人は片目に後遺症を残すほどの大怪我をしたそうです。
それって傷害事件じゃないんですか？警察は逮捕とかしないんですか？
どういうわけか、被害者が告発しないんですよ。警察に届け出がないので。
They were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally there would be a criminal investigation, but why didn't they press charges?
被害者の男子生徒3人にもそれぞれ話を聞こうとしましたが、全員口が重いんです。
Why?
こう言ってはなんですが、怯えてるんですよ。彼女が転校した今でも。
大石さん、話を最初から整理して話してくれませんか
Rena hit people while she broke the windows? Or was it she started breaking the windows after she got bored of hitting people? They sounded familiar, but the meanings were drastically different.
某月某日、リュウグウレナは親しい男子生徒3人と一緒にプール倉庫のあたりで話をしていました。
Okay. Close friends of hers near the pool storage shed.
その3人って何者ですか？
個人名は伏せますが、3人ともリュウグウレナととても親しい仲良しグループだったそうです。彼女はこう言ってんだったんですな。
So it wasn't strange that the 4 of them were together.
それでどうなったんです？
理由はわかりません。リュウグウレナはプール倉庫脇にあった野球部のバットを手に取り、3人を次々に殴り倒しました。
There were no witnesses. This was an account pieced together by the information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Rena had 3 male students were at the pool storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather they usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At the time, Rena underwent a change. The change was so abrupt that the 3 of them didn't comprehend what was happening. Then taking a metal bat, she attacked her friends one after the other. Leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards a school building, and then she broke the windows. Then she broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on the scene and subdued her.
レナに起こった変化って何ですか
？3人の証言で一致するのは、突然人が変わった。豹変したという点です。
豹変。
I also could recall Rena's transformation. I had seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Rena that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Rena.
その豹変っていうのはたびたびあったことなんですか？
いえ、そういうのは全くなかったそうです。私も調べられる限り、彼女の過去や病歴等を追ってみましたが、見つけることはできませんでした。
そのレナみたいに突然人が変わる現象って結構あるんですか？
もちろんありますよ。 精神的なものから性格的なものまでたくさんあります。
ではレナには潜在的に表変する要素があったってことですか？
断言はできません。ですが竜宮レナをよく知る友人たちからの証言では、とても彼女にそういう要素があるようには思えません。
Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transferred her here, she was probably pretty popular in a school like she was now. That girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat, who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believe that I was mistaken for thinking that was Rena even now.
そしてどうなったんですか？
学校の正面が病院でしたので、3人はすぐに病院に担ぎ込まれ手当てを受けました。
レナは、警察はどうして警察沙汰にならなかったんですか？
警察は呼ばれなければ関与はできませんからね。
一人は後遺症を残すくらい大怪我したんじゃないんですか？どうして訴えないんです？
私もそこは引っかかりました。何かの圧力、もしくは脅迫があったのか、それとも訴えたくても訴えられない理由があったのか。
もちろん大石さんのことですから調べたんですよね。
ねえ、まあですが初めに言いましたよね。被害者たちの口がとにかく重いのです。触れたがらないというか、関わりたくないというか。
Reluctant to talk, didn't want to touch it, didn't want to be involved. It resembled the village here and the Ayashiro-sama's curse.
学校の先生とかからは何も聞けなかったんですか？
学校は聖域なんですよ。隠蔽体質とでも言いますか。私も捜査令状を取ってませんから弱いんですよね。
じゃあ学校側はノーコメント？
いえ、事件の存在自体を否定しました。ですが某日、間違いなく病院に3人の男子生徒が打撲で担ぎ込まれたのは事実なんです。病院にその記録が残ってますので。
被害者は語らず学校は否定する。何もわからないじゃないですか。
ねえ、その事件があったという事実以上のことは何もわかりません。被害者たちもこの事件が公になることを望んでいませんので、私と前原さん、私たち2人が忘れれば事件はそのまま闇に消えるでしょうな。
Okay, sorry, I accidentally clicked it. For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The deaths were obscured by rolling waves sinking quietly into the void, as if it never existed to begin with.
その後、学校を謹慎で休学します。そしてその間、神経科医のカウンセリングを受けました。
その医者からは何か聞けたんですか？
これがまた職業倫理のしっかりした尊敬すべき方でしてね。口が固いんですよ。もうとにかく。
警察手帳を見せてもダメなんですか？
書面で申請しろと言われました。手帳自体に法的拘束力は何もありませんからね。
じゃあ大石さんはどうやってレナがお社様のことを告白したことを知ったんですか？
一部を聞いてた看護師さんがいましてね。この方は手帳を見せただけで協力してくださいました。
Okay.
それでなんと？
Turns out that nurse hadn't heard everything. Apparently all that she remembered was that she overheard from inside the room.
看護師さんが言うには、その時の竜宮レナはとても淡々としていて落ち着いていたそうです。
It was more like she was confessing her sins at the church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through, her mother was asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Rena for a while.
例のお社様の話はどこで出てきたんですか？
途中です。その名前を突然叫んだのです。だから看護師さんもびっくりして聞き耳を立てたのです。
Rena suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said before that, so I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor calmly and collectively asked Rena to have a seat.
そのお社様というのは何ですか?
Gently, ever so gently. A fundamental part of counseling is to be a good patient.
ひなみ沢を捨てた人は必ずお社様に追われるんです。そしてとうとう私のところにも来たんです。
Whoever abandons Hinamizawa will be hunted down by Oyashiro-sama, and it's gotten to me.
竜宮さんが今のお家に引っ越される前に住んでいた町ですね。
私は引っ越したくなかったけど、お母さんとお父さんの都合で仕方なく引っ越しました。でもお社様は許してくれなかったんです。
竜宮さんはきっとひなみ沢にもお友達がたくさんいたんでしょうね。今でも懐かしいんじゃないですか？
帰りたい。ひなみ沢に帰りたい。帰りたいんじゃない。帰らなきゃいけない。本当はもっと早くに帰らなきゃいけなかった。でももうダメ。お社様が来てしまった。
お社様というのはそのひなみ沢の神様なんですね。
誰でも知ってるひなみ沢の守り神様なんです。それでひなみ沢を捨てて出て行こうとすると罰を当てるんです。
But the thing is, like Tomitake, right? Tomitake has left Hinamizawa and come back, right? Pretty much yearly, he said, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if you leave Hinamizawa and Oyashiro-sama comes for you, but why not Tomitake sooner? Or yeah, but yeah, they did say, right? Tomitake is pretty much an outsider. He just comes and goes, right? Okay, I'll just continue for now.
竜宮さんが引っ越しをされたのはもうずいぶん前ですよね。では今になってその神様がやってきたということですか？
信じないでしょうけど、お社様はいるんです。
The nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That was all she remembered.
お社様がか。
確かにひなみ沢にはそういう迷信があります。里を捨てて出ていくとお社様の罰が当たるという。この辺りは前原さんもすでにご存知ですよね。
I knew very well that what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following year, Satoko's parents, supporters and leading advocates for the dam, were cursed to their death. But this was the first time I've heard of the curse incurred by leaving the village.
初耳です。村の外敵がたたられるのはわかりますが、どうして出ていく村人まで？普通出ていく者はたたられないものじゃないんですか？
Normally people who leave the village aren't supposed to be cursed. I know it's a bit strange but I could see it as a rule that the people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Yeah. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Cursors weren't something to chase after people that leave, but were they? Oishi-san pondered for a bit over on the other end of the receiver, then began speaking again.
ひなみ沢が大昔鬼ヶ淵と呼ばれていたという話はしましたよね。
I recall hearing that. Long ago, Hinamizawa was feared and respected as a village of demons.
麓の村人たちは鬼たちを崇めていました。で、鬼ヶ淵は神聖な土地なので絶対に不可侵。むやみに立ち入るとお社様のたたりがあるとされてきたんです。
Those who set foot in Onikakushi, in other words, Hinamizawa, would be cursed. I could understand that.
それはわかります。でも出ていくのまでダメってのは。
鬼たちもまたですね。属性に出ていかないようお社様に厳しく見張られていたんだとか。つまりお社様ってのは属性と鬼ヶ淵の交流を禁じていたんでしょうな。
I see. I finally understood what sort of thing Oyashiro-sama was.
つまりお社様ってのは守り神ってよりも監視者なんですね。この地を外界から隔離しようとする。
そんな感じになるんでしょうな。すみません、私も詳しくないんです。この辺りはばあ様の受け売りでして。
I could understand it a bit better if it was like that. Those who came to Hinamizawa would be cursed, and those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So because Rena originally lived in Hinamizawa and moved away, she fulfilled the requirements for being cursed. Yes, she moved away. Yeah, originally lived here, right? And then she left, and then she came back.
つまりレナは望まない引っ越しをしたためお社様のたたりにあったとそう話しているわけですか。
How long was Rena out again? Actually, I don't remember. Yeah. Like, yeah, they left. Her family and her left, right? And then she came back afterwards. How long was she out? Like, a year? 2 years? Couple years?
要約するとそういう意味なんでしょうな。実際この後しばらくしてhinamizawaに引っ越していますから。
Those who abandoned Hinamizawa and left were cursed. But then why only Rena though? Yeah, true though. Shouldn't Rena's parents also have been guilty of the same transgression by moving away and have been cursed? Also in this day and age in Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming in and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be insane. But in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there would be one person dying and one disappearing on the day of the Tanagashi. I don't like saying it at most though.
まあとにかくわからないことだらけなんですよ。お社様のたたりがどうだったにせよ、クラスメートを金属バットで殴った理由にはなりませんし、被害者が訴えない理由にもなりません。
I mean, could it be affecting only like kids, I suppose then? Or yeah, maybe younger people? How old is Tomitake, by the way? My god, I don't know.
まさか前原さんも恐ろしいたたりが起こって被害者たちがすくみ上がったなんてこと信じるわけないですよね。
Of course, I didn't want to believe it. But more importantly, I had just realized something else. There was another bizarre connection that Rena made between Oyashiro-sama's curse and metal bats. Satoshi fell victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi had also become infatuated with a metal bat right before he disappeared. Then Rena as well. She was affected by Oyashiro-sama's curse. She confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon which he had used at the time at the horrendous act was again a metal bat. And finally me. I'd encountered various things that were inexplicable and now I was holding onto a metal bat. I was shocked when I learned that Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be... Had the same thing happened to Rena? But there was one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. Yeah, that Satoshi went missing, right? But Rena is still here. Yes, pretty much similar, but... Rena is here. Both of them had fallen victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse, yet they were met with different endings. And finally me. I couldn't call it a coincidence anymore. Rena, Satoshi, finally me. Could it be that I really was under Yashiro-sama's curse right now? No, more importantly than that, what should I do? What should I do now? Satoshi had been demoned away, vanishing without a trace. Rena was fine, right? Rena had undergone a change. I could only believe that there was something that wasn't Rena residing within her. And here right now, it was standing before me. What? Rena again.
教えてくれ。俺はどうなるんだよ。
Rena stood imposingly, not answering.
サトシは消えた。だけどレナは消えなかった。じゃあ俺はどうなるんだよ。
I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling.
大丈夫だよ。レナが助けてあげるから。
Rena took one step forward, still holding the hatchet high above her head.
さあ、
One step closer, Rena's face spread out to fill my vision.
話して。
One step closer. Rena's nose was close enough to touch mine and was still pushing closer.
話したいことがあるんだよね。レナが聞いてあげる。助けてあげるから。ね。話してね。話してね。
I slumped down, landing squarely on my butt. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get as far away from Rena. I had a gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when the laughing ended, the moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet, even I couldn't believe— wait, what? Couldn't believe it, and pushed Rena away with both hands. Rena was light as a feather. Thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the hatchet, she was sent backwards as she had carried off by the wind. After confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. I was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding onto a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. He was so scared he couldn't even do anything. Right, and all that swinging, right? I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped even farther down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't leave. Or live. I could hear the laughter of the simulacrum of Rena coming from behind me. I ran through the trees and in my head and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. Oh, he made it here. The grove of trees thinned out my field of vision, suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment, I was bewildered by the scenery. I knew, but I couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized it was the dam site. The fact that I'd dashed madly ended up in a place like this gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul there. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. My muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stop here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back, looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Indeed, instead I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rena but a third party. except the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers were walking around, weren't suspicious in and of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But at this time of day, two adults wandering around without a purpose, it was enough to raise questions. But more than anything else, those eyes, they weren't chit-chatting while walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope and had finally started imagining things? I should run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I lose them by easily running. If they were a part of the group after me, then they would come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch up to me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, at the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me had jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made that assumption that I didn't need fear. I didn't need to fear anything else. But right now, I realized just how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Ueji-san told me about the demons all leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic footsteps. It was frightening being unable to shake off Rena as she slowly closed in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuers' arms grazed my shoulder. Now, it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like the time itself had stopped. I turned my head back slightly in the frozen world, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it would take to blink twice, when this frozen time began moving again, they'd be right on top of me. On top.
俺に何か用かよ。次は眉間にお見舞いするぞ、この野郎。
By barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. One of them would grab onto my bat and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on them both at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I just have to settle it with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing down my target to the man on the right, who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would cause immense damage. If they blocked it with their arm, their bone would snap like a twig. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right into my gut. Not good. With this distance, in this position, and in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. The world flipped upside down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a second, feeling the grainy soil press against my face. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt the pain coming from the abrasions on my skin as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. I know very well that I didn't have time to relish this experience. I stood up quickly as I could, but at the moment the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made it all the more upsetting. After plowing into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arm around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by this immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled or that I was about to go unconscious. My vision darkened and a silent whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. I took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run, I couldn't fight back. Dire straits, I couldn't even come up with this phrase that adequately described my situation. Oh, what the hell was that, man? Oh, by the way, I think my mic cut earlier? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to check later, but if it did, I'm sorry. I didn't notice, honestly. But I think it did. Okay, where are we now? Familiar ceiling. Okay, I guess we're home, right? Okay, I guess we'll end our episode there for now. That was a very long episode already. We did a lot of things. So yeah, we got our, what do you call this? So earlier in the beginning, we talked to Mion, right? And then pretty much Keiichi told her about all the things that Oichi said, right? And she got really, really angry, right? She said she wanted to kill him. And then later on, Rena, with her creepy self as usual, right? And then, yeah, here, the last one. Keiichi being chased by two guys, right? He said two guys? So, I don't know what's happening. I guess we're gonna be close because he said, Keiichi said earlier that I guess today is gonna be the last cycle. So, I guess when we end this day, the chapter is gonna be over. Kind of feels like it. But we'll have to see. I don't want to talk about it that much anymore until we finish it. I guess we're gonna be finishing it soon anyways, right? Yeah, because I already talked a lot earlier about what I was thinking about, what is happening, Keiichi's hallucinations, what is real, what is not real, how Keiichi is interpreting the characters, right? Because of his paranoia, maybe he's interpreting everything they're saying differently to a much more sinister, what do you call this, look. But yeah, we'll have to see, So maybe next episode, we're gonna be finishing this chapter. We'll see. This is a very long one. but maybe next time is the last one. We'll have to check. But yes, we're gonna continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 1 Onikakushi in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.